Welcome back, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer, so now let's talk silver. I want each and every one of you to answer a question in the comment section below after you like and subscribe to this channel that posts daily silver stacking videos. Because I really want to get a pulse, and I'm sure you're all curious as well where we stand. Do you think that silver will hit $300, and more importantly, when? Do you think it's possible? Please, everyone, let's all talk about this. I'll even share my opinion, and I'll even give a date, right? I'll even tell you which year. But I really want to bring this type of conversation to light because I don't want people to have unrealistic expectations thinking silver's going to quote unquote explode tomorrow and you better hurry up and get it right now. You're going to miss the boat. Because when it comes to precious metals, markets don't necessarily move as fast as crypto, right? You're not going to see silver jump 800% within a week like some cryptos can do. And it's not even about that. It's not about a get rich quick scheme. Silver's not going to make you rich by selling it back to fiat. Silver is what makes you rich, owning it. You know, we determine a country's wealth on how much gold they have. So let's put that same principle back to, people, person to person. No matter who has X amount of dollars in their bank accounts are relevant because we determine wealth on how much gold and silver someone has. Regardless, though, for the sake of this video, let's go back to spot price. Let's go back to dollar terms. And what do you think? What do you think is going to be that X factor that really pushes silver to triple digits? Is it going to be the monetary side of things? Or is it going to be the fundamentals of supply and demand, scarcity? Low supply, high demand pushes the price up. See, we could play both sides, and that's why silver is the best and smartest investment that makes the most sense, because not only is it the supply and demand fundamentals that I go off of, a lot of other people talk about silver being the best investment because of the dollar depreciating in value as a safe haven, or I guess wealth preservation or hedge against inflation as the dollar's collapsing. So it's crazy. And when I was the special guest on Robert Kiyosaki's channel, Rich Dad Radio Show, he was talking about that, right? Because he goes a lot off the macro or the micro, and I'm talking about the macro, right? And he could talk about so many different things regarding the dollar and why your money's worthless and putting your money into something that holds its value or where you're in complete control, like precious metals and crypto. But then I'm talking about the shortage, and he goes, wait a minute. He says, so you're talking about not only is silver the perfect investment for, the financial crisis and yada, 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 but also because there's a shortage. And I say, yeah, isn't that crazy? Each one of those alone would be a good enough reason to invest in the silver. So I just want you guys to understand that my name is Silver Slayer, not Gold Slayer, for a reason. And I want you guys to answer down in the comment section below when you think silver, or if you think silver, can hit $100 to $300. This one is talking about $300. I even dug up an article from back in 2010 where this guy's talking about $250. Now, I thought this was very interesting in particular because remember, the year after this, silver hit $50. So he was on to something, right? Silver's up 44% in the last 9 months. And now it kind of, you could see why he thought silver could explode. It didn't hit 250, but it did hit the all-time high. So I really wanted to bring this to light because this was written, last year. This was written right before silver exploded in 2011. So I think this is going to be a great video. Please like the video. If you like the video, let's talk silver. He starts off to say, I know this might sound ridiculous to some, but I think silver could reach $300. No, I haven't lost my mind, and after all, it's a metal that's known for massive rallies. And yeah, silver is more volatile than gold. I call silver gold on steroids. And that's because it's a smaller market, so it's more volatile. You see, when silver went through its 1970s bull market, it started from a low of $1.31 in October 1971, and by the time it reached its peak in 1980, it was up to $49. That's a 37-time return. If we consider that silver was priced at $4.20 in late 2001, a 37-time return would take it to about $155. However, I think this bull market could be an order of magnitude larger for a number of reasons, the main ones being debt, credit, and money printing. And see, there we go. He's talking about silver exploding for these reasons: debt, credit card, money printing, people realizing that America's broke, that we're $30 trillion in debt, that the dollar's lost 98% of its original purchasing power, that you better put your money into safe haven assets. They find out about gold and silver. They find out that silver's actually cheaper and has more opportunity to explode than gold does, so they go into silver. I call gold the mascot. Gold is kind of what people start getting interested in, and then they find out about silver, and then they just start buying silver more. How'd you start, by the way? Was it the same way for you? So, and to actually branch off of this, you know, all these reasons are great reasons. But what I've been focusing on more so lately, the last couple of years actually, is the fundamentals. I think that's really what's going to push silver over the top. And if you've watched my channel, you know why I'm talking about this, because silver is already scarce, right? The Silver Institute posted their numbers. It's the largest deficit in decades, as that means that a lot more silver is needed than we can produce. And I think over the next 5-10 years, as we advance digitally, as silver is used in everything technologically, it's going to be near impossible to feel that to fill that type of demand. Low supply, high demand pushes the price up. So as a result, I think silver's ultimate peak could be $300, and I won't rule out possibilities even higher. And I've heard some people, I mean, I think it was Ted Butler that said, think of any price for silver that's extremely high in your mind and then multiply that times 100, and that's what silver's price could reach. Something along those lines. Now, I also wanted to do another calculation before we move on to also show why silver could be $250, because this isn't actually much more realistic since we're going off of real data. So back in the day, the gold to silver ratio was 16-1 for thousands of years. So if gold's $2,000, if you divide that by 16, that's $125 silver. Now listen to this. Before 16-1, it was actually 8-1, because that's the ratio it comes out of the ground. That's the ratio it comes out of the Earth's crust. Is every 8 ounces of silver, or every 1 ounce of gold, we find 8 ounces of silver. So let's do $2,000 divided by 8, which is 250. So if we're going off of the out of the ground ratio, which it could normalize back down to, the only reason it's this high is because of man-made manipulations. I mean, FDR got in office in 1930 and changed the gold to silver ratio from 16-1 to 75-1. Right? That's not a natural ratio. And as time goes on, especially when people realize what silver's really used for and how gold is pretty much useless, it could go back to that. So, if gold's $2,000 and we're going off a natural ratio, what it comes out of the Earth's crust, that would put silver at $250 alone, beyond all these other reasons we're talking about. So, bullish silver fundamentals. Most developed and many developing nations have been in multi-year or even multi-decade deficit scenarios. This now looks to have become a permanent state, at least until we reach some sort of global financial reset. And yeah, I think that reset is coming quicker than a lot are anticipating. The Institute of International Finance explains how this situation globally responds and added $24 trillion to the global debt mountain last year to reach an all-time record high of $281 trillion. America alone is $30 trillion in debt. And, when I say the dollar's lost 98% of its purchasing power, that's an actual percentage. It's not 99%, not 97%. That's an actual percentage. Interest rates being maintained at 5,000-year lows will only encourage more debt. I mean, we're trying to get ourselves out of debt by replacing it with more debt. That's like trying to pay off a credit card with another credit card. It's going to catch up. We're trying to dig ourselves out of the hole. And if you understand physics, you can't dig yourself out of a hole. Couple that with many countries borrowing to meet interest payments and central banks soaking up much of that new sovereign debt, and inflation havens like precious metals gain strong appeal. Silver, in particular, has the added benefit of 50% of its demand being industrial. And that's where I talk about silver taking on a life of its own. Most gold is just used to sit around in jewelry and coins and bars. With unprecedented economic stimulus programs, many favoring green energy, silver is uniquely positioned to profit. What's more, according to Metals Focus, silver supply was down 4% in 2020 by 42 million ounces. Also, according to the Silver Institute, total supply will rise by 8% this year, though the total demand will rise nearly twice as much by 15%, led by industrial, jewelry, and physical demand. Everyone wants a slice of the silver pie, but there's just not much pie left. That's crazy to think about. And if we look at these numbers just from a year to year perspective, think about in 10 years. Think about in 5 years. So when I talk about triple digit silver, just from the fundamentals, it'd probably be around 2025, 2026. 2026, more realistically, that's when we'll be deep enough into the silver supply deficit where everyone will understand how critical it is to have silver to make these solar panels and these EVs, and we just don't have enough of it. Right now, we could still sweep it under the rug. We could still kind of blanket that facade. I mean, yes, you have, you know, you have the COMEX and the LBMA, you know, the LME coming out and saying that their vaults are near empty, but that could still be kind of swept under the rug, right? There's a lot of other variables in there, but by then, it's not. It's going to be blatantly obvious, and that's when silver's true price will shine. But then, if you want to incorporate all these other reasons that people were talking about, or as he was talking about, silver being very profitable from, it could push it a lot sooner than 2026. And that's why I'm curious what you think. What you think is going to push silver to financially or fundamentally, and also when that's going to be. So the fundamental side of silver demand is looking strong, but the technical side is also very bullish. And that's what I was talking about. It's insane. There's so many reasons why silver has opportunity to explode. Then he goes into the gold to silver ratio, and that's kind of what I was already diving into. We're not going to go too much into this. Obviously, it's, yada, 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 how much silver it takes to buy 1 ounce of gold. I'm sure he's going to mention. Um, yeah, that's exactly, that's what I was mentioning. He goes into the point already near 15, which, 16 to 1, yada, yada. So let's look at this. This is going into the 2001 to 2011 peak. What brought silver to $50 last time? And we could actually push it not from 2001 to 2011. We could start it from 2008 to 2011, which is much more similar to 2020 to 2023. You want to see why? Well, 2008, what happened? Credit financial crisis led to, global recession slash depression. $1 billion stimulus leads to $50 silver. Now, yes, there's a lot of other variables, but those are the main factors. Well, let's look at 2020 to 2023. Recession slash depression, right? Credit financial crisis, $1 trillion stimulus. Almost identical, except $1 trillion stimulus is much bigger than $1 billion stimulus. Plus, we have a global situation at hand. Plus, we have a war going on. Plus, we have a shortage of silver. So if that led silver from 2008 to 2011 to $50, what would that lead silver to today if we compare 2008 starting at 2020, which took 3 years? We don't have to say exactly 3 years, but the situations are very similar. Like I said, there's a lot of other variables, but regardless, Situations are similar, except nowadays it's much more extreme. So if that pushed silver to $50 back then, what could it push silver to today? Yes, there's manipulation. Yes, I do think that sooner than later you will not be able to manipulate the price when we're talking about something that's so fundamentally explosive. Again, we see peaks, and that's going to tend to occur around recessions, which is the Great Bar. At silver's peak in 2011, the ratio bottomed near 33. It then rose almost constantly up to its all-time peak last March at 125. And yeah, that was the highest. We'll be reading about that in history books. March 2020, when silver was 125 to 1, the gold to silver ratio was. That means it took 125 ounces of silver to equal an ounce of gold. A natural ratio nowadays is like 75 to 80 to 1, but it was 125 to 1. And that's when silver was around $11 in 2020. Then it fell dramatically to its current level around 67 as silver started to significantly outpace gold. And yes, when it was 125 to 1, that means that gold was a better, or it was outperforming silver. And yes, I mean, silver was like $11. When it dropped, that means that silver's outperforming gold because the ratio's dropping. So gold isn't performing as good as silver does. When it was up to 125 or leading up to that, that means that gold was outperforming silver, which of course was. Silver was down to $11. Consider that we know from history silver always outperforms gold in precious metals bull markets, so the current action is particularly exciting for silver. But what does this all mean? How high can the silver price go? Of course, no one knows for sure, but there's some indicators worth examining for clues and suggestions. I believe the ratio will ultimately reach a low near 15, and he's talking about the gold to silver ratio. Now remember, if the ratio is 15, that means that's putting silver around 125 to 1. Remember, because I said $2,000 gold divided by 16 is 125. But then if we go off the out of the ground ratio, that would be $250 silver at 8 to 1. But he goes off $5,000 gold, not $2,000 gold. And that's more realistic because it's not like silver's just going to, the ratio is going to jump to 16 to 1 if gold stays at the same exact price as silver's moving up. They would both be moving up. So let's say gold peaking at $5,000 per ounce. That's 2.5 times last August's peak near $2,000. Even a chance gold could reach $10,000, which is just 5 times the August peak. But if we stick with 5,000, which I think is more realistic for now for this situation, and an ultimate bottom in the gold to silver ratio at 15, we have $333 per ounce silver. I like how he did this, and do you see how I did it? Sticking gold at 2,000, which it has been at, but then if you look forwards, as gold would be rising as well, that's a similar situation happening. So it's cool that he did it that way as well, and you could see how we're talking about this. It would be silver taking on a life of its own, appreciating regardless of what gold's doing. Now, if we consider inflation adjusted silver prices going back to 1970, we see that the peak reached in 1980 was actually $120 an ounce in today's dollars. And that's using government sanctioned inflation statistics, which tend to be well below what we experience in everyday life. Now, I'm not going to go too much into that. Uh, I like talking about stuff that you need to know, and that's getting more into, we've covered the meat and potatoes. But let's look a little bit into this part. Larger silver producers and royalty companies should be seen as core positions to be held for the long term. I'm not into this miners and all that stuff. I'm talking about the physical. Talking about the physical. If you can't hold it, you don't own it. So you need to invest into the coins and bars. If you're a newbie, just buy generic coins or just buy 10-ounce bars or whatever. Don't get into the semi-numismatic stuff. It's just more risky, and it's just not worth it right now. Just go for weight. Try to get the lowest dollar per ounce average possible, and that's your best bet. I'm not going to try to get too much into that. Just buy cheap silver where you can find it. But like he even says, silver's clearly the better bargain relative to gold, and that's because silver at $26 is still nearly 50% below its all-time high, where gold is still pretty much near its all-time high of $2,000 as it's still sitting at $1,738. So, moral of the story is there's many different ways silver can explode. And when I say explode, I mean triple digits. I say by the year 2025, 2026. But it could be sooner. Just don't think it's going to happen next month, right? Probably not even next year. I don't want you guys to have unrealistic expectations because then that leads you to invest a lot more frantically, impulse buying, which leads into panic selling. And I don't want that. You invest with your head, not your heart. If you want to purchase silver, I highly recommend the email address in the bottom left hand corner. That's Miles Franklin. Send an email to info@milesfranklin.com. Let them know Silver Slayer sent you. It will help you out, helps me out. One of the only few authorized dealers that can still purchase and work with the U.S. Mint, as the U.S. Mint cut off the entire world from purchasing through them. Highly recommend you do that as well. Thanks for tuning in. The link to this article will be in the description. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.